Hi everyone. Hello. Hope you guys able to hear me. Great. Myself Suresh Maidaragi. Today I'm going to speak about building Kotlin multi-platform applications. So before starting this session, I just wanted to understand from each of you, like how many of you are coming from mobile application development? Please raise your hands so that. Okay. No, at least if you guys heard about Kotlin multi-platform or mobile application, it would be good. Okay, great. For those folks who didn't come from mobile development, I had a slide for them also to make you understand what are the things we are going to talk and what are the benefits of Kotlin multi-platform. Basically, I'm going to abbreviate it as KMM or KMP. Both are almost same. Okay. So, Kotlin multi-platform is one of the latest technology which is introduced by ZBase in 2017. It is basically meant for different platforms, as the name says, iOS, Android, and websites, desktop, Linux OS. Okay. So this technology is very much popular in recent days compared to other hybrid application technologies. Example, yeah. So I covered that also in the next slide. So before jumping the solution, reason why it is more popular and why those technologies are not popular. So before that, like I just wanted to, I think I won't have a Bluetooth today. I'm going to just move around between the system and the slide. Okay. So these are the topics which I'm going to talk today. What are the ways to build a mobile application? What is Kotlin multi-platform? And what is the key benefits? Why? The answer to your question, sir. And what are the use cases to get started with KMM? And we'll have one small live demo. And at last, around 10 minutes or 5 minutes, we'll have an Q&A. Okay. So hope I'll try to cover within 15 minutes. Sorry, 45 minutes. So this is the first topic, like what are the different ways to build the mobile apps. So many of you already know these things, right? Hybrid platforms or media class platforms. First one is a React Native, and the second one, can anyone guess?
Flutter.
Okay. So you guys may be knowing the drawbacks of these technologies when you run the application in native mobile apps, right? Yeah, if you guys are coming from mobile background, definitely you know the reason behind why we go for a native platforms, right? Basically, these platforms, I'm coming to the answer, sir. These platforms basically have they build this technology for desktop, these high-end devices. Example like laptops, desktops, and they're not fully optimized for a smaller, lower-end devices. Example, Android phone or maybe an iPad, iPhone. Okay, so that's why the native platform exists from the day one. Native platform always there, and they are growing in their own terminologies. Early days, like to develop a native applications, we used to have Java, XML in terms of Android, and when we talk about iOS, we used to use Object-C. And now we are using Swift and Swift UI, right?
Export also we use in the native Apple.
Can someone give me mic?
Export.
I think Export is for the React.
Export is the ID.
Export is the ID. Yeah, it is an integrated. Yeah, that also what are the different IDs we use to build the applications. The red one is the Flutter. So basically here I will tell you, in React Native we use the React Native and the JS as a coding languages to build the React Native applications. And Flutter we use the Dart and .UI to develop the mobile applications. Basically they called as hybrid platforms, and I basically use a symbol, just the folks I want to make you guys familiar. Here this K indicates the Kotlin, and this is indicates the Jetpack Compose, and this indicates the Swift for business logic and Swift UI. Okay. And these two technologies used to build the iOS application, and these two technology, one is for business logic, another is for UI, to build the Android native applications. Okay. So coming to Kotlin multi-platform, as you can see, it is using all of this technology, which is exist in the native, to build iOS and Android. So this is one of the biggest advantage of having a Kotlin multi-platform. Why it is more advanced and why it is more popular and more effective compared to hybrid platform is, it is basically built using the native technologies. So native technologies are already optimized and they are already verified and tested since from the decade. Okay, and they are really performing well, and you can see in many industries, right, automobile, RMD, and IoT devices, everywhere native exists, but hybrid is like somewhat challenging. Okay, so that's why Kotlin multi-platform introduced, and it is introduced by JetBrains. They are the folks, if you might heard, JetBrains. They are folks in totally into IDE development, that is integrated development and all. Okay, so they focus this and they are scaling it in a larger way, and this basically helps a lot, and we'll understand that what are the benefits of this technology. Okay, moving to next slide. I'm going to let you a little bit about Kotlin multi-platform. It is introduced in 2017 based on Kotlin 1.2, and it has already said it is by JetBrains and supported by Google. Google and JetBrains team is collaborating with each other to build this technology, and most of the things which are available in Android, especially Jetpack Compose, Kotlin, they are migrating into KMM, Kotlin multi-platform. Okay, so if you want to get started with this technology, we don't have to worry much. There are plenty of open source libraries exist, and if you don't find a library which you require for your product development, whatever the libraries available in native iOS or Android, those libraries you can reuse in KMM. That is the beauty of Kotlin multi-platform. Okay, and in case, say for example, something innovative you want to do without, if you don't find in internet, there is a huge community base who are the authors of this KMM. They are available in Slack and available in any social media. You can reach them directly and you can get a help without any delays. They are very much active on Meetup and social Slack. Okay. So now you might be wondering again why this platform, why this technology. We already have plenty of technologies to build mobile applications. Can someone please list the technologies which you know to build mobile applications, especially in hybrid, apart from which I mentioned here? Flutter, which I already spoke about. Yes. Yes. Ionic, Xamarin, PhoneGap, right? Cool. I think the guy who's coming from mobile background answered most of the things. So I just wanted to hand over some candy to him. Yeah, please pass it. Okay. So no cheating, please. Okay, why we require this technology again? We have plenty of already technology exists, right? So you know the drawbacks, right? When the newcomers come into this technology, they have to learn those technologies. If you talk about PhoneGap, they have to learn .NET. If you talk about Flutter, they have to learn a Dart. If you talk about React Native, they have to learn JS as well as this thing. And again, they have to get expertise on native source code. Example, what exists in Android, what exists in iOS. So learning is a lot. Means we have to hire a lot of resources. As a startup companies or big companies, they always look for a best resource in a way, much optimized way with a lesser price, right? So that's why Kotlin came up with this approach. Moving to the next slide, these are the benefits if you go for KMM. So basically it will reduce the development time. I'll give you an example how it will to reduce the development time. Take an example of the stickers which is attached there. Assume that side has an Android team and this has an iOS team. So there are more sticklers, right? So basically, if you share one PRD to them for entire iOS and Android team, so they will give their own estimate by looking into the PRD, right? That's how the product development happens in any company. So they will look into the PRD, they will look into the challenges, how the product should be started and how it has to be developed, and they will give their own estimate. Basically, the number of stickers is the number of people you assume it, and say here around how many? 9. Here we have almost like 50, right? 15 and 9. So almost this many developers we require to develop one single application, right? If you use the KMM, so you can use one of the resource from iOS and one at least 2 to 3 yes, Android developer from the Android team. Why? Because whatever the KMM is there, basically Android developers are expert in that. Means we are using an existing native technology, that is Kotlin and Jetpack, right? So they are expert in it. And why we need only one iOS developer is, so just to support, just to use the iOS core functionality. So we need an iOS developer, and also on release perspective, Android developer won't be having much knowledge on iOS, right? Just to help and become an helping hand, we need one or two iOS developer. So basically it is going to do a cost optimization in terms of development. So, and also when you choose this technology, you will be writing the code in a single repo. So we don't have to be writing in two different repos, one for Android and one for iOS. So the maintenance wise, it is easier to maintain. Okay, and whenever some bugs comes in any of this platform, it will be existing in one single repo. If it is coming in iOS, definitely it will be existing Android as well. Why? Because it's a single code base. The root cause for this issue is single code itself, and single code is running on all the platform. Yeah, it supports for iOS and Android. It supports whatever exists in native already. That is a benefit. I will give the list of the technologies, the languages. One is for UI, right? To build an mobile applications, especially for Android, we use XML early days. Nowadays we are using Jetpack Compose. And when you talk about iOS, we use Objective C, okay, and UI. We call something in iOS, right? What is that? I'm not sure. UI kit, right? And now in recent days we are using in iOS the Swift and Swift UI. So these are the programming languages we use to build the mobile applications. So when you talk about KMM, right, we will be using only the first two, that is Kotlin and Jetpack Compose. Okay, and who are expert in that those technologies would be enough to build the application for multiple platforms, both iOS, Android, as well as website, desktop. Okay. Today I'm more focused on mobile development, not going to talk much on website or server side. Okay. You are going to get a native performance. Why? Because we are already using native technologies, that is Kotlin or Swift in terms of iOS, and that's why it ensures the high performance while leveraging the platform specific capabilities. Whenever you run the code and you compile it, and if you try to deploy, basically you try to build it and deploy it to a particular platform, it's going to convert that entire code base to a platform specific. What I mean is, in Android we generate and deploy as a bytecode. In iOS we generate and deploy as a binary files. Okay, this is the advantage. And desktop also applicable same. Any questions?
Like you told that it gives us native performance.
Yeah.
Like how it is possible? Because in the recent release of React Native 0.76, they completely changed the architecture from a JavaScript bridge to a C++ bridge. So that asynchronous way, like for even accessing the UI, because React Native builds the whole UI in native level, and the communication is done through JavaScript bridge. Now they have changed that whole architecture, and C++ bridging is there. Very short span of time we can sync. And on Flutter side, there is a skier render engine. That same CMP is also used.
CIS.
Here it is here. It is also here. So if ever I have to use UI components in Flutter and CMP, so no delay is there. But for native components in Flutter, we have to use method channels or foreign function in interfaces to create it. But how does it work on KMM side? Like how that, like you told that it compiles to native binaries. But Flutter also compiles everything into native binaries. In for Kotlin, for Android also does the same thing. iOS also it does the same thing. So what is the performance difference? And what is the architecture behind, like does it convert it, like for example, if I am writing external function here in KMM and internal function there in Android side and iOS side, what is the linking position and how that performance is?
So basically it is converting the native code here. The entire code which you write in KMM, right? It is getting converted into and then it is generating a binary. But in case of React Native, when you said, right? So it is, you are writing in JS and it is again converting into some wireframes, it is converting into an native code, again it is converting binary. There is a bits here, Flutter or maybe React Native. But here we reduce that. This KMP team has removed that bits and they are able to deploy directly into binary. That is a saving they have in terms of building and also performance wise, right? As your original question, if you come to that. So performance, basically whenever the code convert into a native, so from KMP to native. So native, you know the performance, right? It is already optimized. So you get that almost equivalent to native performance. Android already it is a native. Only the challenge is other platform because it's Kotlin and Jetpack is meant for Android initially, correct? So now the challenge is other platform like iOS and other things. So they are converting these things into their respective native platforms, and because of which we are able to get the almost equivalent to native performance.
So basically it's almost equivalent but not equivalent.
Yes, exactly. Even JetBrains people also said almost. It's not 100%. It is not a completely native case. Okay. Yeah, efficiency, right? As you can see, like when I said about that example, we can with the team we can able to develop it the faster, and maintenance wise also we don't have to rely on the two different teams to maintain it or maybe to scale it. Okay, basically one team is capable to do everything. And when we talk about consistency in any other platform also, we are able to get a consistent behavior, means look and feel. For example, say Android I am seeing one screen, same screen and same usability also available in iOS. So that is the consistent. In case if you want to have a different visibility or maybe if you want to have a different way in other platform, that is also available. That is we talk it as flexibility. So it allows the platform specific customization. We can able to customize in different platforms. So now we'll understand what next, right? What are the ways? Yes.
You're building this for multi-platform, right? So, so for iOS, do we need to like when you're building, do we need to have a Mac machine, or if I'm just using Android, I can just do it for iOS?
Okay, that's a very good question. So when you talk about development, to start with from the scratch, basically it has to be in iOS. To be frank, it has to be in Mac. Okay, why? Because you are building for iOS, right? Multi-platform is like we are going to support other than Android also. So it has to be in Mac, and you should have the Xcode, and you should have the pod installed in your system. Pod is optional, and rest other things like Xcode or maybe Java, so those things are mandatory in your system. Without Mac, like it is very difficult. Linux, we haven't tried it, maybe, I'm not sure it will be possible.
Long-standing issue.
No, I remember before that we used to build that, but if you want to build it for iOS, we need to have a Mac machine.
Right.
Yeah, so that was the dependency there. Even though we built it in Java, JavaScript, for building it for iOS, you need to have a Mac machine.
what is separate Mac machine to build that actually kind of.
That is a bare minimum investment the company has to do it. There's no compromise in the laptops or maybe resources. At least they are able to optimize in terms of resources, not on technology. Okay. So let's talk about use cases. How we can get started developing a KMM application. Say for example, since if your company is already developed the application using native, right? Coming to the first thing. Say example, you have an application developed in Swift and in Android XML and sorry, this is a different use case. Swift and XML and we have a Jetpack Compose. Say for example, this UI is already built, okay, in your company, and you want to adopt this KMM. You can just need to write the shared business logic in Kotlin, that is KMM, and you are capable to generate a iOS and Android application out of it. Okay, this is one use case. Another use case is, say for example, you already written a business logic in native, Swift and Kotlin Mutliplatform, and you can use a Jetpack Compose, which is supported in KMM as well. We call it as Compose Mutliplatform. Okay, uses two different business logic and common UI and generate a iOS and Android application. Even you can generate website as well as desktop applications. Okay. Here combined together. So you can share the business logic as well as Compose UI. So as I said, like I work at Physics, right? Apart from this, there is a use case came in our company. So what we had is in our team, actually Android is big enough. Say around 20 to 21 people are there in Android team, and iOS we have very less few people because of cost. Okay, because every company to hire an iOS developer, they have to spend a lot of money. Okay, so we have around 10 people in iOS, and in future development also, Android team is much faster. Means almost 20 features deployed in Android, only like 15 to 16 features are developed in iOS. So we come across this technology and we understood and we learned about it. Then we got an idea, why don't we convert existing native Android code to KMM and generate an iOS application and use it in existing native iOS app, so that we don't need to rely on an iOS developer and we don't need to take a help from iOS developer and we don't need to like hire a few more iOS developers. So we took that advantage and we converted whatever the code which is written in Kotlin and Jetpack Compose. These are two native technologies, right? And we converted into KMM and we are able to generate an iOS and Android. So once you convert UI and business logic into KMM, you are capable to generate multi-platform application. So this is an advantage we took, and we are capable to generate an iOS framework, and we use that iOS framework in native iOS app and we delivered it. And we check the performance also. Somewhat like we get almost similar, not a 100% performance as like native. So we get like almost similar performance and we are happy with that. Yes, sir.
Question is, why it is taking time for the developing the iOS? As you said that you just can develop 3 to 4 features, but not in the case for Android.
We have a bigger team in Android.
Okay, technical challenges.
No technical challenge, because only financial problems are there in any company to talk. Having a resources, right? Technically, like we can have multiple technologies, they exist, we can use it. So hiring, as I said, right, iOS folks is much costlier than Android. So we have over 20 Android engineers, including interns. iOS we have experience in SD2, SD3, SD4, and leads, who comes around hardly 10 to 12 people. So because of bandwidth crunch, resource crunch, so we use this technology to solve our problem. Okay, and it helps us to save the cost as well as share the business logic between the two platforms. Say for example, tomorrow I want to release one feature in Kotlin. I'm capable to release it simultaneously in iOS app with this technology. This is the benefit. Okay, coming to the next slide. Which are the companies? You guys might be wondering, right? This is the first time I'm hearing this technology. How can I get started with this? So here are the list of companies which are already using this technology. Many of you already know this. Meetup is where we are able to meet and have this study session. These folks also using the KMM recently. Okay, and McDonald's, Amazon also using for. They actually rely on only have some other technology, but recently they in their blog itself they written some of their library getting migrated to KMM. And this is where I work, BW Physics Wala. We are using KMM for one of the solution which I said, and also apart from that, we developed 2 more applications from the scratch using shared business, shared logic, shared business as well as shared UI, and they are available in the Play Store and App Store. I'll give that demo in the last slide. Okay,
So is it same?
yes, we are almost getting similar performance, not 100% as like native iOS app.
What about to access native features?
Yeah, it is very easy. I will give that in demo. Basically, to access the native resources, example camera, example Bluetooth, because they are specific to the platform, right? iOS has a different way to call the native resources, and Android has a different way, and desktop again has a different way. So to write that, to access that, we can have an actual and expect method to call and use it. Means in common folder, you are going to write an expect, and in platform specific packages, you are going to write an actual. Okay, actual, whenever you generate a bit, actual is going to run that particular logic which you written to access the platform specific, and it will able to give you that accesses. Okay. So, any questions so far on the sessions?
Yeah, last question. So, what about the cost? Means licensing cost or the developing cost compared to simple Android or iOS development?
Yeah, as I already given an example, right? Say you don't need to hire an equivalent number of developers compared to Android. Why? Because one iOS guy would be enough to support in case if you are planning just for iOS and Android. So 1 or 2, and it also depends on your PR requirement. Okay, I'm giving a simple example to build one list screen. So definitely you would need one iOS. It's not mandatory. If that guy is having a little bit of understanding on iOS, he is capable to do both Android as well as iOS. But if guy is coming from iOS and he has a knowledge on this KME, he can also capable to develop the application on both the platforms. So yeah, it is saving half of the cost, whichever currently you guys are doing.
So, software is open source.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell that. Now whatever the technologies tech stack, can we go back to the use cases or maybe yeah. Yes. Whatever the technologies I mentioned here, Jetpack Compose, Kotlin, Swift UI, all of these are open source. Everything is open source. You can become an author, you can contribute.
Yes, for architect, first question is cost.
Yes.
So, they're like,
Every company, money matters a lot to them. So before starting any business, they thought about how to whom to hire and how to hire, what is the cost, everything they think about it. So that's why KMM is the latest technologies, and many companies in India also they are exploring it. Rapido also started exploring it, and the same use case which we mentioned, right? Same thing, they also tried it, and it is live in the App Store and Play Store.
So, one question.
Yeah.
So, as you were explaining what the use you are using the iOS and Android native codes, I realized the business logic you are giving is how it should look basically.
Right.
So, how you are scaling for, let's say, like iPad and iPhone?
Yeah. Business logic is separate, right? Or UI is separate.
You know, you said you are keeping the business logic in one place, common files.
Okay.
And then you are using the different
Native
difference, right?
UI.
Yes, for the UI.
Yeah, definitely. The say here is you are writing already the UI native script. iOS going to use a script, right? So tablet, whatever you write, you make sure you should run the script code in both iPad as well as iPhone. Make it tested and run it. And in Android also, if you make sure you run in both the tablet as well as Android phone. And write a common business logic already exists. You will call the UI things, and if you run it, it will provide the things.
That Swift, Swiftware, these are mostly protocol-based, delegate-based code, right?
Right.
Android is not. Android is not delegate or protocol-based code. So when you declare the fallbacks or those things, how do you handle it?
Yeah. So to make this calling and different platform, Kotlin KMM supports that interoperability. Means you are able to call the different platform logic using the interfaces. As like you are saying like callbacks, right? It's not supported. KMM able to do that, write an interface in common code and call that whichever the platform you are expecting. Write the implementation there and interface will be exist in the common. I will show you that in demo.
That will work only if the app is data-driven, right?
Data-driven.
Only if you need to show some list or some pages, those kind of apps.
Okay.
That those data-driven apps that can use this kind of thing.
Okay.
If it is like a native app, you need to have say maps, you need to have other features of native mobile. How you handle those libraries? And I'm sure like Android applications have their own.
Google Map they use it and they use Apple Map.
Even for the third-party libraries.
Uh-huh.
Android applications have their own third-party libraries. iOS have their own ports.
Right.
So what are the support for this one? Will those ports and these libraries work on?
Exactly. That's what I started from there, right? So whatever the things is there in native, you are able to use them directly in KMM. How? I'm going to tell you. Say for example, if you look into the repository of this KMM in demo, you will be able to grasp it more easily. But I will try to explain here itself. So what happens, right? Say iOS has one pod, it's like a library, right? In Android we call it as a library. So you anyhow you open that code, KMM code using Xcode, and you can able to see as like a native Xcode project. Okay, and there you can add the framework or maybe a pod. And you again run it. It is able to run successfully with all the compilation error if you are able to resolve it and run on the iOS. Same thing applicable for Android. Already the project we are developing in Android Studio, and if you run that and if you want to add any library there, right? Example Google Map if you want to add as a Gradle dependency there and run it, it is successfully able to run on the Android as well. Same thing applicable for website also.
How are you writing the test for these test cases? How you cover it?
Yeah, test cases are like an Android unit test cases we write now. UI test if you want to do it, you can do that. Say for example if you want to automate this, right? You can use once you generate a build via using a Jenkins or any other tooling, you are just do the as usual because it's the same output you are getting, binary file or framework, right? You can deploy this into any automated testing tool and it does the same way of testing as like in native. Even in Android also.
Just to add on to what you were saying, right? In typical, so just to give you a background of Kotlin is a Java-based language. Everything is on bytecode, right? So anything that you create from Kotlin or Java or any library which actually supports Java, we will eventually end up supporting Kotlin. But the bigger problem that I see from my experience of being into mobile apps, right, is the problem with KMP is basically, as you said, there are some library dependencies which are always there. Right? So I'll give you an example, retrofit. When we were trying to experiment with this, right, we realized retrofit did not have a support of KMP.
Yeah,
now the moment, right, so the moment you go into your compliance team and say to compliance team that I want to code using a KMP, they directly reject. Saying that retrofit have a inbuilt support of very strong ethical support of making a network call. Right, so if somebody doesn't have those KMP specific code base for those libraries, and obviously no company is willing to write that code from base code, right, from scratch. So they usually, for us, what really took a backstage for this KMP project was not having the support of retrofit there.
We already introduced the KTOR.
KTOR is there, but I'll tell you the background of KTOR. KTOR have a SSL issues. Even though KTOR uses OKHTTP in the backdoor, right?
Understood, yes.
The SSL which you want to pass it across the domain and the firewall, right? The compliance team did not let us go through KTOR.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a lot of background, but as you pointed out, there's always a library dependency which happens. If the library is not stable enough and you go through a official compliance Google suite, they don't allow. Right, so that problem we face it, and that problem is not there in the React Native and all. Okay, so we ended up using React Native from last 5 years. Right, so that's another story. But no doubt KMP is growing very nicely. But until my only problem with KMP is you write a UI in the native, right, and you write a business logic, as you said, into the KMP platform side. But what really happened, a KMP project, when you open it, right, you end up seeing still typically 30% of the code is still being written in native.
Right.
Because the UI is still being written.
Yes.
Right, so no, even Swift UI, if you use the Compose,
Yes.
right, the Compose still people have to write in Swift.
Correct.
Right, so when we say KMP, it's technically it only means that 20% or 40% of your business logic is being actually written in KMP.
Rest everything
Native, right? So we are not saying that native is going away with it. Native cannot go.
Yes.
Right. So
that is a fundamental.
That's a fundamental.
It's only like all these different platforms are existing.
I would like to add to that is when you do Scaman, which is actually you will be able to use Swift along with it. It's not Swift UI. So
Yeah, you can use both.
Swift UI is supporting now.
Yes, Swift UI also you can use, Swift also you can use. Yeah.
That's is for me.
I will show that demo also.
Last time I was trying to configure this out, so it did not work.
I see. So recently they are able to support the Swift UI, even Objective-C also they are planning. That is there in the pipeline. 2025, they are planning to make iOS Jetpack Compose as release. Currently it is in beta, so it is not still stable in beta. So we took that risk and we are able to deliver in both the platforms. Yes, beta version of the CMP, Kotlin Compose Multi-Platform.
And you're adding apps to that?
Yes, already like 10,000 plus students are using it. Not just us, as I saw, show you the demo, right? Which are the companies. Even Google also, if you see the Gmail, Google Workspace, all the things like Google Docs, Sheet, everything is they are planning to convert that into KMP, not KMP, KMP, Kotlin Multi-Platform, not for Android and iOS. Okay, that is a thing. That is how we also got a confidence that it's scaling much faster than any other technologies.
But just to add on to this, right? Since I do a lot of background of Google and JetBrains, right? When we say Amazon uses, so what really happens is only the 10% of the code is being used in KMP. Still 90% of the code is written in native. So there is a very small percentage, right? Nobody is willing to take a risk to create a full-fledged project on KMP.
See, if it is a requirement is from the scratch, you can go for KMP. We had to do product from the scratch, so we took that risk and developed that. But challenges are there, that is 100% sure. So we have to find an alternate way. How we need to find an alternate way? That is giving a capability to, say for example, one unit means you are not able to do in KMP. Use the native code in that particular place and run it, and you are able to succeed in the further development.
So for one company, I do not want to name it, but for one company, they clearly say that we write in KMP. But the moment you go into the code base and the corresponding developer you check with, right, to figure out what has gone in the background, you realize only 4% of the code is written in KMP. Right. So nobody's, but you're right that if somebody is starting from scratch, go ahead and do that as long as your compliance or legal team does not have an issue. Right. But the moment the libraries, so right, for an Android application, the biggest risk that we take is having a network call.
Right.
So if network calls are not going through a trusted firewall or a VPN or any trusted channels, compliance have a huge issue in a big corporate, right? So for that was the only reason where they turned. So we did an R&D of 3 months to take it onto the prod.
Okay.
But the moment compliance turns up saying that your library is not officially there across both the platforms, we do not give a heads up.
Yeah, you would have suggested one more solution like business logic. Network calls, you write it in native, and UI is Jetpack component.
So that increases our code base size then again, right?
Later when Keto are able to do the SSL certification, security related stuff, then you can able to migrate. Means I'm just giving a suggestion, not like a recommendation. There is a way, always there is a way in KMP to solve the problems. If you come across any challenges, problems, there is a way.
If you do a reverse engineering, will I know that this is
If you say buy of deobfuscate the APK, right? So the APK is a byproduct or IP in iOS world, right? So the moment you deobfuscate, you will always be able to take it. All the code, but not clean code. A lot of things will be translated into the numbers. R. We call it integer, so you can't get the business logic.
And are you able to publish into this iOS store, this App Store?
Yes.
So there is no issues with that?
Yeah.
Apple didn't reject it?
We don't have any other issues. I will just show the published apps which are in KMP. Challenges we never faced on releasing because we use the Xcode. This is the application which we built completely in KMP and available in both iOS and Android. We plan to build this application even in desktop. That is just our website. This is also almost similar, right? So now we are planning this entire iOS and Android app to be in desktop also, each website also.
This is available in iPad as well? iPad?
Yes, it supports iPad as well. Even Mac too. You see this? Whatever you write the code in latest with M1 devices, you are able to run this applications in Mac's machines also.
Why I'm asking is because the moment you switch to iPad, instead of the user feel is that instead of zooming the screens, you should actually use the tree structure.
Yeah, it stretches.
That is right.
Sorry, come again.
Tree structure in the sense like when you're using iPad Front, when you have this folder structure on the left and the details on the right.
Okay. You can write
into that.
No. That capability it is possible. You can write the way you want it. But
then again you will have to completely rewrite the interfaces over there.
yes, definitely. But no other application does the same.
No, but if you are trying to
Business
reuse,
logic, you can-
if you are trying to reuse that interface for Android and iOS both, then why are you writing it again for this iPad separately?
Because you have a different view, no? If you want the same view, you can reuse it. But if you want to structure it
But
in a different,
when you are writing app in iOS, right,
Uh-huh.
you are using the same protocol for both.
and UI is same.
UI is different.
See.
See? UI is
Okay,
different.
you are capable to get that. Yeah, here some cons
So
are
you
there.
are saving your effort over there.
Yes,
And if
we
you
have
need
to
put it in iPad, then again you have to rewrite it.
Yeah, we have to compromise in some places to achieve the usabilities. As like you are giving an example of Gmail, right?
So these are the challenges that we got. Okay, this is not happening currently, but the things that we have been able to do is like we have been able to successfully create apps on both Android, iOS as well as this website.
Yes. Okay. And say for example in this kind of requirement, right? So you want to save the money as you want to develop the application faster, you have to compromise on the features also. Change the design to fit the tablet and to develop application faster, right? So if you want to have a consistency, complete consistency and some tablet you want a different UI, you have to compromise there, right? Yeah, it is applicable for all the technologies, not just games. Okay? I think we are almost running out of time. Sorry, I will show the code base directly here. As you see, this is the code base we used for our application, and this is an Android app. This is a KMP code, okay? And we have a shade. This is where our code relies for different platforms. One is for Android, another is common. As I said, like this is the, I think you guys are able to see my pointer, right? Yes. This is where we write the expect code, okay? And actually will be available in particular platforms. Example, I will give close app, right? This is the expect, and actually is relying on common name. As you see, close app is function existing on these three platforms. iOS also. Close app. Yes, business logic here we return. For iOS we return exit.0. And if you talk about Android, how we need to exit system.exit. Okay, and here in common we are just writing expect with the expect keyword. Okay, whenever you compile this code and run in a particular platform, only this actual will be passed to that. Okay, this is the beauty of KM. This is a simple example. Out of this, we are able to build this applications on multiple platforms. As you see, the look and feel of
Everything is made using KMP or
yes.
CMP or KMP?
KMM. KM, not KMP. Don't confuse by the word. KMP means other than apart existing Android as well as desktop and website. KMM is more specific towards the mobile, iOS and Android. We are using KMP and KMM and CMP, Jetpack Compose, multi-platform Compose. Okay. As you see, look and feel of this application is almost similar. So as I didn't get your name, you said right to support the tablet. So we have to change to that particular platform or maybe device the design and logic that is also supported in KMP, but we have to rewrite it. That is one drawback. Okay. So to avoid it, so we make the consistent UI across different platforms.
And what library did you use to use the network? Is it Kto?
Kto latest version.
For images and videos?
Yes, this is the Reels we are playing. Video player of native iOS we are using.
Hello guys, welcome back to
This is the video player of Android, that is Exo player. These are platform specific component as sir was asking, right? So we can call the platform specific components. Cool. Any other questions, guys? I think
Did you saw any kind of APK size increase or iOS size IP increase?
True. In case of iOS, the app size is much bigger. Not very much. It is almost 10% greater than the native iOS app. Why? Because we use a Skia as a graphical library, right? That itself adds a 20 MB size overall our existing code along with the code.
Did you face any kind of issue, or are you using modular architecture or?
Yes, multi-modular architecture we are using.
So that's completely supported in KMP?
Yes. Thank you. Yeah.
Are there any state management solutions built in KMP? For example, in Flutter we have to download Flutter state management solutions. We have to use external libraries. But
Lifecycle you mean or?
I mean the entire state of the application.
Okay.
Let's say we want to update something in the UI.
Without publishing app.
Kind of. Let's say we have an event, or we have multiple events in a single screen, and multiple widgets are being re-rendered, right?
Okay.
So does KMP provide any libraries inside the package, or I have to install third-party libraries?
No, actually in KMM we don't have as like RX bus, right? Maybe bus, event bus. You are talking about event bus in case of kind of. So we don't have that things currently. We can use a third-party library. There are already built-in third-party library. We can use it. But shared view model is also one approach. You can use it across the application. You can have one view model and it will be shared across all the screens.
And how are you picking up the resources? Like for Android, maybe gifting in for the iOS separate.
You can keep it in the resource as
For the common resources?
yes, common resources. Where is the resource folder? Somewhere here. Yes.
They'll put it over here.
Yes, you can
But
put it
you
here.
can say something about
Jetpack libraries which are available in Android, they converted into KMP, and they are capable of to do this in multi-platforms. You can use it in iOS as well as web.
can be used in Android. And in iOS, they have very strict.
I think we can, this could be a last question, I'm sorry about it.
Yes, yes, yes.
Because it will become too late. We keep, I understand.
Yeah, we can have.
We can fill this. I can.
You can also connect with him.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. I think.
Thank you.